Hey, I wanted to talk today about the things I wish I had known about breast forms or prosthetics. And I've gotten 3 up until today, and so I'm eligible for a couple more just because it's been a year since I got my first 2. And I've been looking at different options here locally, and I went a couple hours away from my home area to find a prosthesis store that could serve me better than my local ones can. And so I wanted to share all the things that I learned from that experience, and believe me, it was a lot. It kind of makes me want to erase my former videos about prosthetics because all the things I learned from my local hospital-based store were very limited, it turns out. And there's reasons for that I'll go into at the end of the video. But the first thing I wanted to share is that there are way more shapes and sizes and even fillers than you might imagine. Most of us get silicone prosthetics or breast forms, and that's kind of the end of the story. But there are lots of other ones. Of course, there are fiberfill ones, and I've talked about those. But there's also some athletic designed prosthetics or breast forms to go into your swimwear or your sports bra at the gym that I had no idea even existed. And these are made to be washable. And so they're a lot more durable, and they also have very different contents. Some of them are silicone still, but they have channels or grooves built into them so that when you're swimming, the water flows through them instead of getting trapped underneath them. So they're designed with swim and activewear kind of in mind. So the other one, the ones that I ordered this week were, they had little beads in them so the water could go through them. And they're much more hardy and washable. So they still recommend that you hand wash them as opposed to laundering them, of course, because they won't last as long in the laundry. But I didn't know I was even eligible for these. And you are eligible for 2 regular prosthetics and 2 athletic prosthetics. Oh my goodness, that's a tongue twister. 2 athletic prosthetics every year, which I had no idea of. The other thing that would have been really nice to know ahead of time is that prosthesis shapes and sizes are much more variable in the silicone types, the Amoena, which is kind of the world premier kind of highest quality brand of prosthetic after mastectomy. They come in way more shapes and sizes than my local hospital shop carried. And I'm not sure why my local hospital shop was not, dare I say, was not accommodating to me in my very unique size and shape of what my Goldilocks is. So I'm wearing something very revealing today so that I can show you the odd size of my one Goldilocks breast. I had a mastectomy on both sides. This side is just skin that they use to make into a very low crescent-shaped breast. It's not even a full A cup, but I really like it. It's enough for me in my small frame and my small size. So what I wanted and what I went in and asked for about 6 months ago when I had been out of my surgery long enough to wear a prosthetic was something to match my little crescent here and something that would fill in on the left side where I'm very hollow, like it does on the right side with my Goldilocks, my extra skin that's underneath there. And what they gave me was this, a very evenly distributed, very shallow, it's not even a full 1/2 inch at its deepest, and more like a 1/4 inch all the way around on the outside. It is nice and wide, so it does provide a little bit of coverage over here where I'm super hollow. But this does not match this at all. This is very flat, there is no crescent about it. And I figured this was the best they could do. Because why would they give me something less than the best? Well, it probably was because they wanted to get rid of their inventory, and these things don't last forever. And it saved them some money, I imagine. And they don't want to, for some reason, they don't want to carry examples, which they could get, samples of the smaller, more crescent-shaped ones that would fit me in particular better, maybe because they have to order them from Germany, and then they'd have to order mine from Germany, and that would take longer and maybe cause their customers to be less satisfied overall. I'm just guessing. I have no idea why they didn't tell me. But I'll show you here what I discovered. They have some beautiful little crescent-shaped ones that I could order, or I could have ordered from a maker, Amoena, in Germany. And I would have, and the only reason I didn't is that I discovered something else that blew my mind, which is that I am actually eligible for free custom prosthetics or breast forms. And nobody ever told me that either. There is a way to scan your one breast or your pre-mastectomy breast, and then also scan your hollow post-mastectomy chest and make a perfectly custom made, custom fit breast form or prosthesis to match you in particular. And that's what I did this last weekend when I went to this privately owned shop that she just happens to have one of these scanners that she was trained to use by a company in Germany, Amoena, the same company that we see most silicone prosthetics are from. And so she's getting me an even better than crescent-shaped prosthetic. She's getting me a custom prosthetic that will allow for the same amount of bulk over here that I have over here, as well as the little crescent-shaped breast that I have over here to place over here. And she's even able to get me 2 of them because I'm eligible for 1 on each side, but I don't want 1 on each side. I just want 2 for this side. And then another amazing thing that she told me is that Amoena is willing to make any prosthetic, such as this one, adhesive, which I don't know if you've seen my other videos on prosthetics and my attempts to make up for them and their discomfort and the way that they move around in bras and things. But I really like these pasties because they're adhesive. Unfortunately, they haven't worked out very well for me because they're not the right size and shape. And when I cut them to become the right size and shape, they got to be a little irritating. So something that was on the inside of it maybe leaked out and made it kind of itchy and irritating for my skin. So I stopped using these pretty soon after I started. But I loved the fact that they're adhesive and they come with these little wrappers that you peel off the back. Well, my new prosthesis, the ones that I'm ordering custom, are going to be adhesive. And adhesive isn't for everyone. If you have a double D sized prosthesis, you're not going to want an adhesive backing because you're in trouble. Then maybe you'd bend over and it would come unpeeled because it's so heavy. But if you have a little one like me, I just want to match my tiny little breast over here. Any prosthetic that comes from Amoena can be made into an adhesive prosthetic. And even if the adhesive doesn't last forever, I would rather have it last for a year and then, maybe just put this backing back onto it after that and use it as a normal prosthetic. It's still better than getting something that doesn't stick in the first place for me. So that was mind-blowing, and again made me a little frustrated that my local hospital-based store did not inform me, unfortunately, that they were able to do that for me, and they should have been able to do that for me. What they said when I asked them was that they like to be able to provide services that everyone is eligible for. So the services are open to everyone, including people on Medicaid and Medicare. So apparently custom prosthetics, unfortunately, are not covered by Medicare and Medicaid. And so because of that, they don't offer them to any of their clients, even the ones that are eligible. And I think that's a real bummer because I think that a lot of people would pay cash out of pocket if they knew these were available to them, regardless of insurance. And those who can't afford to pay cash out of pocket should at least be able to know if their insurance covers them so that they can go elsewhere. So I was pretty frustrated to not be told this when I thought I had had a really thorough education from them about how prosthetics work and what kinds I can get. I'm really finding that there's a lot more available and much better options available than I had ever imagined. So because they have this scanning technology, you can actually, those of us who are unibreasted or uniboobed or single-breasted, whatever you want to call it, you can have one made to match your breast. So if this was my natural breast and I still had, a full breast and a nipple and everything like that, they would still be able to scan that and then also scan for your hollow part over on your uni side or your mastectomy side. and they would be able to match that as well. So it's not just people who've had a double mastectomy that can get a custom made unibreast. And from what I understand, it's not just people who have had mastectomies already. You can, if you're pre-mastectomy and if you have time to go to someone that can scan your natural breast, they can do that pre-mastectomy and then have you come back afterward and then scan your hollowness, whether it's one side or both sides, and you can actually achieve the shape of your natural breast after your mastectomy or mastectomies. So that is another idea that not everyone will have access to at the right time to do it, and telling you this may cause you to regret that you weren't able to do it, but I still think it's worth sharing that information so that people in some cases may be able to pursue that if that's their desire. I had no desire to go back to having huge breasts because my frame is so small and I'm such a thin person. So for me, just matching this little Goldilocks mastectomy is fine. So I just had this as my matching after my mastectomies. Another thing I learned that I didn't know was that these Amoena, any kind of Amoena silicone prosthetic, is expected to last for 2 years. Even though you may be eligible to replace them after 1 year, these have a lifetime expectancy of 2 years. So if you're not rough on it, if you don't carry sharp metal objects in your upper pockets that could poke them, or you're not zipping them up in a zipper accidentally, and if you're washing them every day after you use them, which is the recommended care of them, is to wash them in the sink with some very gentle soap and pat them dry or let them air dry. That is the way that they are expected to last 2 years. I was never told that either. And I think regardless of how long you have them, they will eventually crack and split. But I've heard stories of women having these for 4 or 5 years if they're caring for them well. I imagine that they probably don't like a lot of sun exposure, which is not likely to happen unless you have windows in your closet or something like that. But they will definitely break down over time. But it was good to know that they're expected and made to last for 2 years. And they may even, in some cases, be warrantyable up to 2 years. So I am definitely throwing out all of my pasties. I'm not going to be doubling and tripling them up anymore to try to achieve the right size and shape and not have to wear a bra with a prosthetic moving around in it any longer. For me, the trouble with wearing bras, unless they're the handful bra that I love, is that they're so loose around the ribs for me that they tend to creep up, and then the prosthetic is in the wrong spot. I don't have a whole lot here to keep them down, and so normal bras just don't work for me. The really, really elastic, stretchy bras like the handful bras, they're more of a sports bra. They're mainly made for the gym and that kind of atmosphere, and they definitely show through because they have thicker straps if you wear them under normal clothes, and they're shiny like a normal sports bra would be. So they're not always ideal, and that's why I really like the idea of an adhesive prosthetic that will just stick on my skin if my skin's clean and if the prosthetic is clean. Just like these pasties, you can wash them with soap and they become more sticky after being washed with soap, after you get the oils from your skin off of them. So it's pretty amazing what they've developed, and some people are sensitive to adhesives. I don't believe that's me, because the only time this irritated my skin was when I cut into it. And so I'm planning on keeping them uninjured and using them. Hopefully they'll last me a year. I imagine I'll only wear them maybe every other week, once every other week when I'm dressing up and wearing something revealing like this out in public. For the most part, I plan to go flat and present as flat because I don't have a problem with that. But I believe that most women who are post-mastectomy and who are flat do want to have a prosthetic as an option, at least. And probably most women who have gone flat after mastectomy will wear prosthetics more often than I will. So I'm making this video for those of you for whom that's true. And I hope that this helps you. I'll put all the resources that I know about down below, including the shop where I ordered mine. But the most important thing is that you can go to Amoena and ask them just by email or by chat, or sometimes by phone. You can even get a hold of them and ask them where your closest retailer is that would do a custom prosthesis. That would probably be the easiest way to figure out where to go for something like that. And I wish I had known that I could ask that question a year ago. And that's why I'm sharing this information with you today. I hope it helps you. And I will hope to see you next week in my next video, if my mom isn't sick again. That's what's keeping me busy these days. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.